From CP3 being well past his prime, to possibly messing up the team's fantastic chemistry. Here's why Chris Paul joining the Golden State Warriors will ruin the franchise. Sure, CP3 is one of the greatest playmakers of all time, but now that he's gotten older, he doesn't bring much value to Golden State. The Warriors front office sent shockwaves across the NBA world in June 2023 when they traded Jordan Poole for the point god. Going for Paul would have been a great idea in 2017 or 2018, but making the trade in 2023, that doesn't make sense to anyone. Was there really no one better for them to get their hands on? With each passing season, Chris becomes a lesser version of himself, with his 2023 campaign being one of the worst of his career. He averaged a career-low 13.9 points, while his efficiency took a hit as well. Just look at CP3's free throw percentage. He went from converting on nearly 94% of his shots at the charity stripe in 2021 to barely cracking the 84% mark since the 2022 season. The story's the same for his field goal percentage. The point guard went from cashing in on nearly 50% of his shots in 2021 and 2022, while he only made 44% of his shot attempts during the 2023 campaign. To make things worse, there's a chance this trade could be a massive waste. Chris is one of the most injury-prone players in the league. As bad as the trade is, at least the Dubs can say they've got a veteran who can lead the second unit while Chef Curry rests. But are they forgetting how many games the point guard has missed because of injuries? The athlete's been getting injured like crazy for years, especially in the postseason. When you factor in his age, he might miss even more time during his stint with the Warriors. Chris was out for over 20 games in the 2017 season thanks to multiple leg injuries. Then he suffered 6 injuries in 2018, which includes the series-altering hamstring injury in the Western Conference Finals, while he missed 5 weeks during the 2019 regular season because he hurt his hamstring again. Plus, CP3 missed a ton of games in the 2022 and 2023 regular seasons and suffered a groin injury in the 2023 Western Conference semifinals when the Suns needed him the most. When a player's getting hurt this much, it's a huge red flag. It's safe to say Golden State made a mistake going for him. If I'm proven right and the point guard's barely available to suit up for the Dubs, then this might be one of the worst trades in NBA history, especially because they traded away their future for Paul. Even if you aren't a fan of Jordan Poole's out-of-control play style, you've got to admit that the dude's got a lot of potential. He was one of the players who helped Golden State win another ring in 2022, thanks to his electric performances in the regular season and the playoffs. If you want examples to refresh your memory, look no further than all of the games Poole played in March 2022. But if you want to see Jordan at his best, pull up some of his highlights from the 2022 finals. This dude was out there looking like 2016 Steph Curry, drilling deep threes like it was nothing. Things were going great for Poole. However, after Draymond Green punched him before the 2023 season was set to begin, things weren't the same. Jordan had an off year, putting up some terrible numbers in the postseason, but he has his whole future ahead of him, so giving up on Jordan after one bad season is a terrible look for the Golden State front office. His potential is sky high, and he's going to be one of the best scorers in the league one day, while Chris Paul already has 1 foot out the door. JP3 was perfectly placed to take over the franchise after Steph retired. But now, that'll never happen. Once Chef Curry and CP3 walk away from the sport, the Warriors won't have anyone to lead them from the front, and it's going to hurt them big time. On top of that, trading for Paul doesn't fix Golden State's biggest issue, their lack of size. Sure, the Warriors won the ring in 2022 without having a legitimate big man, but let's be real, they were insanely lucky since they were up against another small ball team like the Celtics. The 2023 season exposed how beatable the Dubs are, since they don't have anyone who can be an elite rim protector and grab a ton of boards at the same time. Kevin Looney may have done a great job of collecting boards in the 2023 postseason, but since he's not tall and strong enough, he'll never be able to stop players like Anthony Davis, Nikola Jokic, and Giannis Antetokounmpo. If the Warriors were so hell-bent on getting rid of Poole, then trading him for a center would have been much smarter. It would allow them to become title contenders once again. But an aging 6-foot-tall CP3 is the exact opposite of what they needed at this point. There are a bunch of talented big men who the Dubs could have gone for, such as Miles Turner, John Collins, and even DeAndre Ayton. Any one of these guys would have been the perfect fit on the Warriors, instantly making them one of the deadliest teams in the league. Yet, they ignored their biggest weakness and went for a dude who won't fix most of their issues. I may sound like a CP3 hater, but I'm not the only one who's talking smack about the trade. Whether it's Twitter, Instagram, or YouTube, almost every NBA fan is talking about how terrible the move by the Warriors was, with many of them calling it the most random trade of all time. Much like myself, they couldn't wrap their heads around the fact that they said goodbye to a rising star, only to bring in a dude who should have retired by now. As one fan pointed out, CP3 was on track to be released, so it made no sense for Golden State to ship their best asset for him. Though fans also made a lot of memes about the trade, with one saying that Dre and CP3 are going to be the most formidable groin-striking duo of all time. Another tweeted out that Paul's farewell tour is mad unique because he's joining every team before he retires. As for Warriors fans, most of them are furious since they've hated Chris Paul for years. After all, he was the man who led the Clippers past the Dubs in the 2014 playoffs. Then he became one of Golden State's worst enemies during his Rockets stint. Now they're being forced to root for him, and honestly, I don't see that happening. Even one mistake by the athlete would piss Dubs fans off, so I wouldn't be surprised if they started booing him after he had a bad performance. That's the last thing any team wants, since the whole point of having home court advantage is to feed off your fans' energy. Although, if Golden State fans aren't cheering nonstop, it'll have a negative impact on the rest of the team too. What's more, the Warriors are already one of the most hated teams in the league, so adding an unlikable player like Chris only makes things worse for the Dubs. The tip of the iceberg is that he's probably going to ruin Golden State's terrific chemistry. Paul's been in many battles against the Warriors and also had some heated moments with Steph and Steve Kerr, so people think it'll be impossible for him to mesh well with the squad. The second fans found out about the trade, they started sharing Curry's dope ankle breaker on CP3 back in 2015, as well as the time Paul shimmied in Steph's face after hitting a shot over him in the 2018 playoffs, talking about how crazy it is that they'll both share the floor in the 2024 season. But that's not all. In the 2023 season, Chef Curry talked some smack as he told Chris, "This ain't 2014 no more," after scoring on him. Then, there's the iconic clip of CP3 fake laughing at what Steve Kerr said during the 2018 playoffs, which also resurfaced after the trade, with one fan saying that the video's 20 times funnier now. What's more, Paul's been the floor general for every team he's ever been on, but with Steph Curry leading the charge in Golden State, he's going to have to accept a lesser role and come off the bench. Considering how petty the point guard is, this might rub him the wrong way, causing all sorts of issues for the Warriors' chemistry. I could be wrong, but all signs point towards this being a disaster. So, from Paul possibly messing up the team's fantastic chemistry to CP3 being well past his prime, this was why Chris Paul joining the Golden State Warriors will ruin the franchise.